Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. And who you are is shaped not by what you say, not by what you wish, but by what you believe. If you believe you're average, you'll perform average. If you believe you're broken, you'll stay broken. But if you believe you're destined, if you believe you're chosen, if you believe you've got something special burning inside you, then life has no choice but to open up. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. Life will knock you down. It'll test you, bruise you, push you to the edge. But belief, real belief, that's your anchor, that's your fire, that's your fight. You don't need the world to believe in you. You just need to believe in you long enough for the world to catch up. I've seen people with no money, no status, no connections rise because they believed they were meant for more. And I've seen folks with every advantage lose it all because they didn't believe they deserved to keep it. So here's the truth. You can have talent, you can have dreams, but if you don't believe you can reach them, you've already lost. The difference between the person who wins and the person who watches is belief. You want to change your life? Start with your mind. Start with the words you speak to yourself. Because if you walk like you believe, if you talk like you believe, if you live like you believe, then one day the world's going to call you what you already knew you were. Belief is not just an idea, it's the blueprint of your identity. Before anyone else puts a label on you, you decide who you are through the beliefs you carry deep in yourself. See, a man can have a title, a job, even a family. But if he believes he's unworthy, he'll sabotage everything he touches. That belief, it'll whisper in his ear, telling him he's not enough. And eventually, he'll start living out that whisper like it's gospel truth. Because the mind doesn't just think, it obeys. And whatever belief you feed it long enough, it begins to wear as skin. You don't become great by accident. You don't rise because the world taps you on the shoulder. You rise because somewhere inside you, there's a fire that says, this is who I am. And that voice drowns out every critic, every doubt, every limitation. But if that fire isn't lit with belief, all the motivation in the world won't keep it burning. Your identity is crafted not by what you're told, but by what you choose to internalize. If you believe you're a leader, you'll start walking like one. If you believe you're a failure, you'll find ways to prove it to yourself every single day. Most people walk through life wearing someone else's belief about them. A teacher, a parent, a broken friend, they spoke something small over them, and now they live inside a box built by somebody else's insecurity. But here's the hard truth. You can't rise while clinging to the version of you that never believed you could. Identity is not inherited, it's built. And belief is the hammer and nails. You want to change your life? Don't start with your actions, start with your beliefs. Because you can fake behavior for a season, but you can't fake identity. The world sees the mask, but life responds to what's underneath it. What you truly believe about yourself will echo in how you show up, in your choices, your posture, your voice. So if your life feels stuck, broken, or small, don't just look at what you're doing, look at what you're believing. Because at the core of your identity is belief. Wishing is easy, anybody can wish. A man can sit on the couch and wish for success. A woman can lie in bed and wish for love, peace, or purpose. But life doesn't move for wishers. It moves for the ones who decide. The ones who make up their mind and say, no matter what, I'm going to get there. That's conviction. And conviction is different from desire. Desire is passive. It's a flame that flickers when the wind blows. Conviction is a wildfire. It doesn't need permission to burn. It turns dreams into reality because it commits, even when nothing around it looks possible. Conviction is what makes you get up when you don't feel like it. It's what makes you show up after the door slammed in your face for the 10th time. When you're convicted, you don't need applause, you don't need agreement, and you sure you don't need a guarantee. You move because something in you won't let you stay still. The truth is, the world respects consistency more than talent. Because talent without conviction is just wasted potential. But when you carry conviction, people feel it. Before you open your mouth, you walk different, you speak different. Life takes notice and begins to shift. Wishing will lie to you. It'll tell you that something might happen one day. Conviction tells you this is going to happen, and that one day starts today. Wishing waits for the perfect time, the right connection, a lucky break. Conviction makes time irrelevant. It moves even when the conditions ain't right. And that's what separates people. That's why two people can grow up in the same neighborhood with the same opportunities and end up in completely different worlds. One waited on a wish. The other moved with conviction. If you want your life to change, stop hoping it changes and start living like it already has. That's what conviction does. It builds momentum. It creates motion. And momentum is where power lives. You don't need more motivation. You need more resolve. Because life bends for the bold. And if you carry conviction like a sword, you stop asking for doors to open and start kicking them down. The world will hand you every excuse to stay down. It'll point to your background, your bank account, your broken family, your failures. It'll whisper, you're not supposed to make it. And if you believe that voice, that becomes your truth. But self-belief, real, rooted, unshakable belief in yourself, that's the thing that flips the script. That's what lets someone with nothing walk into the world like they've already won. When you believe in yourself, you're no longer limited by the conditions you came from. You become dangerous to doubt, to fear, to failure. Because you're not defined by what's around you. You're driven by what's within you. Circumstances are loud, but they aren't final. A man can be born into poverty and still carry the mindset of a king. A woman can be overlooked her whole life and still rise with the posture of someone who knows her worth. Because belief doesn't need approval. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't care about the odds. The most powerful force in a person's life is not their environment, it's their inner environment. What you think about yourself when no one is watching, that's the seed of your future. That's what builds or breaks destiny. People love to talk about obstacles. They say, I didn't have the chance, I didn't have the support, I didn't have the education. And listen, those things are real, but they're not absolute. They're not final unless you agree with them. Self-belief steps in and says, I see the wall, but I'm still going. It's not delusion, it's direction. It's knowing that your present situation is just a chapter, not the whole story. Your circumstances are temporary, but if you let them define you, then they become permanent. That's the power belief has, to break that cycle and write a new narrative. I've seen people climb out of darkness with nothing but belief. No connections, no resources, just grit and vision. And I've seen others surrounded by opportunities stay stuck because deep down, they didn't believe they could rise. That's the difference. That's the real gap in this world. Not rich versus poor, not educated versus uneducated, but those who believe in themselves versus those who don't. Self-belief is a weapon. And once you pick it up, you stop asking, can I make it? And start declaring, I was born for this. Resilience isn't just about getting back up. It's about why you get back up. It's not just about survival, it's about conviction. People think strength comes from muscles, from toughness, from keeping your emotions locked away. But real strength, lasting strength, comes from belief. It comes from knowing deep in your gut that what you're going through doesn't define where you're going. Without belief, resilience runs on fumes. You might bounce back once or twice, but eventually, life will hit you hard enough to knock the fight out of you. That's when belief steps in. That's when it becomes your backbone. When you believe in something greater, whether it's your purpose, your future, or the person you're becoming, you stop letting pain have the final word. You stop letting setbacks set your identity. Pain might knock the wind out of you, but belief helps you breathe again. That kind of belief doesn't come from what you see, it comes from what you decide. It's waking up with bruises, with regrets, with tears still fresh on your face, and choosing to rise anyway. That's resilience. And it doesn't just happen by accident. It's built one painful step at a time, fueled by belief that this step matters. Some people quit not because they're weak, but because they stopped believing their effort meant something. They gave up because the storm screamed louder than their vision. But resilient people, they believe in the outcome, even when the process feels impossible. They keep moving, not because it's easy, but because their why is too strong to let go of. Belief gives pain a purpose. It doesn't erase the struggle, but it puts a reason behind the grind. And when you've got a reason, you can walk through fire and still come out standing. You see, resilience without belief is like running without direction. You'll wear yourself out chasing things that don't feed your spirit. But when belief is your engine, every setback becomes fuel. Every rejection, every failure, every dark night, it becomes part of your training. Life doesn't break you when you believe in your bounce back. Life builds you because it sees that no matter what gets thrown at you, you're not backing down, you're not folding, you're not quitting. And that kind of resilience, that kind of fight, it only comes from belief. What you speak over your life becomes the atmosphere you live in. Words aren't just sounds, they're seeds. Every time you speak, you plant something, doubt or faith, fear or courage, defeat or destiny. And most people don't realize they've been living in a world they built with their own mouth. You can't call yourself a failure every day and expect to walk like a winner. You can't tell yourself you're stuck and expect to move forward. Your words create the script. Your life begins to follow. The question is, what story are you telling yourself every single day? The most dangerous voice isn't the critic out there, it's the one in your head. The one that speaks when you wake up tired, when the money's low, when the dream feels far away. That voice has two options. It can tell you, you can't do this, or it can say, get up, you were built for this. And what you choose to say in those moments, that's what shapes you. You don't need a crowd to start talking like a champion. You don't need applause to start speaking life into your own bones. The real transformation starts in private, when nobody's watching, but you decide to speak faith anyway. You've got to stop rehearsing failure with your words. Stop using your mouth to echo the pain and start using it to prophesy the purpose. That's not just motivation, that's strategy. Champions train their tongue. They talk like where they're going, not like where they've been. And when you get disciplined with your words, your mind starts to align, your body starts to respond, and your actions follow. Because your words set the tone. If you say, today I show up strong, then strength starts to show up in you, even when you don't feel it yet. Look back at your life. Really look. Trace the things you've achieved, the things you've lost, and the seasons you stayed stuck. Somewhere along the way, your words were there first. They either opened the door or shut it. So speak like your words matter, because they do. Don't just talk to survive, talk to build. Talk to break chains. Talk to lift your spirit. Talk like you've got something inside you the world hasn't seen yet. Because once you start speaking that truth, your world will have no choice but to rise and meet it. Belief is not a one-time declaration. It's a daily decision. You don't just wake up one day full of faith and never doubt again. That's not how this works. Life will test you every single morning to see if you still believe what you said yesterday. Belief isn't built in comfort. It's forged in pressure, in repetition, in the quiet moments when you could choose fear, but instead you choose faith. Every day you wake up, you've got to look in the mirror and decide again, who am I going to be today? That choice, that quiet, internal decision is what separates the committed from the casual. You don't rise just because you believe once. You rise because you believe consistently, and that consistency, that's where the breakthrough lives. People want confidence, but they don't realize confidence is the reward for choosing belief over and over, even when you don't feel strong. It's easy to believe when the road is clear and the sun's out. But belief really shows up when the path is dark and the world goes quiet. That's when your belief speaks the loudest, not in your words, but in your persistence. You choose it when you're tired. You choose it when you failed. You choose it when your emotions are screaming at you to give up. Every day, life offers you two narratives. One that tells you to shrink and one that dares you to rise. And belief is choosing the second one, even when your situation looks like the first. See, belief doesn't mean you ignore the facts. It means you refuse to be controlled by them. It means you look at the storm and say, I still believe. You might not control what hits you today, but you do control how you respond. That's your power. And belief is the choice to keep your mind rooted, your spirit anchored, and your feet moving, no matter what. People talk about destiny like it's written in the stars. But the truth is, destiny is written in your decisions. And belief is one of the most important ones you make, day after day. You want to build a different life? Start with today's choice, today's mindset, today's belief. Not someday, this day. Because if you can choose to believe in the middle of the storm, you're already halfway to the other side. You don't need perfect circumstances. You need daily courage. And belief is the fuel that keeps courage alive. Vision alone isn't enough. Plenty of people have dreams. They write them down, post them on their walls, even speak them out loud. But a vision without belief is just a fantasy. It fades the moment life gets hard. The real difference between a dreamer and a doer is belief. When you back your vision with belief, you stop waiting for the stars to align and start moving like they already have. You stop treating your vision like a possibility and start carrying it like a responsibility. You don't just hope it happens. You walk, talk, and work like it's already real. Belief gives your vision legs. It gives it weight. It gives it motion. Without belief, you'll doubt your own ideas the moment someone raises an eyebrow. You'll shrink your dream to fit someone else's comfort zone. But when belief is present, you stand tall, even in a room full of silence. You stay committed even when the numbers don't add up, even when the support isn't there. You grind not because it's easy, but because you see it. And more importantly, because you believe in it. And when you believe in it, people start to feel it. Energy like that is contagious. Every great accomplishment started as an invisible thought. Somebody saw it before it existed. But that vision didn't come to life just because it was good. It came to life because the person behind it refused to let it die. They believed through doubt, through delay, through disappointment. That's the test. That's the work. You hold on to the vision even when your current reality says, this will never happen. And that belief becomes your fuel. You may not see results on day one, but belief keeps you showing up until the results have no choice but to appear. People often say, I'll believe it when I see it. But vision, backed by belief, flips that mindset on its head. It says, I see it because I believe it. That's the energy that moves mountains. That's the mindset that rewrites stories. Your vision is your blueprint, but belief is the builder. It's what picks up the hammer when no one's watching. It's what keeps laying bricks when the world says, that'll never stand. And brick by brick, day by day, belief turns vision into structure, into reality you can touch, walk through, and live in. So now I ask you, what do you believe? Because it's not your past that's holding you back. It's not the people, the pain, or the pressure. It's the story you keep telling yourself. It's the belief you choose to carry every morning when your feet hit the floor. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. And belief is that choice. Every single day, you become what you believe, not what you hope for, not what you say when people are watching, but what you carry in your heart when the lights go off, when the doors close, when you're alone with your doubts. That's the belief that builds legacies. So believe boldly, speak life, walk with purpose, and never forget, you are not waiting to become something great, you already are. Now go live like it.